Hey, this is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday, February the 27th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and all I can say is it's just been an incredible day. These are the kind of days you like to see. There's an easy channel. If you can't see that channel right there, it doesn't get much easier than that. So if you can't see that, you got work to do. We started out in a range this morning. We broke out of it. We bounced off the range, and we had what I call a spike in channel here. We spiked up. Notice that huge spike, and then we went into this channel. And what happens is the spike is too strong, and the trend is too steep, and you can see that's almost straight up, and then it kind of flattens out of that into a channel, and that's exactly what we did today. And you can easily see this channel. It might even be just a tad bit higher, like so right there, and probably off that high right there. There it is. Yep, I believe that's perfect right there, and that's what you got, a spiking channel right there. And it's relatively easy to see, and then you could even still take this same line. Oh gosh, why do I always do that? Excuse me. It doesn't matter where you grab it, it'll always be the wrong place. But you could even take that line down and drag it down, and look how it's holding those lows there. So if we ever break out of that, I'd look for it to bounce possibly here as well. Almost grabbed it at the wrong place again. But anyway, let's put it back right here where we had it, because this is what we're really looking at for today so far. That was the majority of our trading off that trend channel. So let's talk about the trades. Again, notice that we opened up in a trading range, and that's relatively easy to see, depending on what time you got here. This was the first trade around 7 o'clock, after I usually get here around 7. Notice that we broke out of that trading range. We actually broke out here, but notice it never triggered. It broke, and then it went on up. And then there's the first, and look at that big reversal type bar. It opened way up here, and it actually ticked higher first and then turned. I actually went short right there. I didn't wait for the red bar because that's a trap, and I'm expecting it to pull back and test at least this, and maybe going back down and test the lower side of the range again. So that's an easy scalp. You didn't get any runners or anything, but that's as easy a scalp as you could get right out of the day. But then notice it started to get, you might have thought about going short right there, but by the time you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 overlapping bars, they're all dojis. Everything's kind of trying to stay above the EMA now. There's tails all along the low side. It's just not a good place to enter, so you're better off to wait. Notice that we finally got back outside the range again right here and pulled back. And look at that reversal bar. It's a nice setup right there, and you failed to go down. Look at these lows. Each time it's making higher lows. That's a good sign with that reversal bar. And again, there's a nice reversal bar. It went lower first and then turned and closed on its high, one tick above that, off to the races. And guess what? If you caught that trade right at the open around 8:30, that's the only trade you needed today. You could have hung on to this all the way, and you could still be long 20 points higher easily. And there's no reason to sell this really until you get a break of the trend line, or you start trending down, making lower lows and lower highs. Otherwise, stay with it. And I mean, you don't get a lot of days like this. So when you get one, we're getting a lot of movement lately. I've been real impressed with the market lately. It's really picked up. We're getting a lot of movement. But anyway, let's move on. There's the first two trades. Then you may not have had this line yet, but if you drew it off these first couple of swings here, and you can see there's your line. All I did was draw it off up there and drag it down to the lows right across there. You might have had it down here, which is actually where I had it to begin with, so I don't think you probably would have, if some of y'all found that right there, that's great at that point. I didn't find that yet, I'll be honest with you. That's just a two-legged pullback to the EMA. It's a little double bottom there, failed break, and then a doji, go long right there, and off it goes. And again, guess what? Your runners were safe here. So even if you didn't catch this one or you caught that one, you could still be riding this. That's what's usually good about days like this. And then here we go. Here's another it's really just another two-legged pullback, but you made another high here. But even there's one leg, a little correction, second leg. But biggest thing is now you should have probably been thinking about this trend line right here. You got a little swing here, you got a swing here. Um, but regardless, it's a triple bottom. It's at the EMA. It's a breakout pullback long. Lots of reasons to think going long. You might have skipped this one. If you did, that's fine. I understand why you might have been hesitant to take that one. But that's a lot of times those are going to be your best trades on a strong trend day. And after a leg up like that, you should be looking for at least another measured leg. And you can see there's leg one, and then there's your correction, and look where it went to. It didn't correct very much, but that's where it caught the upper side of the trend channel. So that was my first target. And if you exited there, you definitely, you got other chances to get back in. So there's really a trade here as well. There's another double bottom, but we're in the middle of the channel, and I just don't like entering there. And you kind of got a little possible trend line right across here. It's not on my chart. I don't like my charts to get too, but you can kind of see that there. And we broke above it. We came back and touched it, and then we went higher and then corrected. It was just like a little temporary kind of resistance across there. But it's important. You got to pay attention to it. And for that reason, I didn't like entering right there, even though it would have worked. And you definitely don't want to be entering up here, this, close to the channel, what's most likely the channel. And then you get another bounce right here. And this one was a little bit questionable because it was so bearish, but that's what they try to do. They try to fool people. And this was an overshot of the channel. A lot of people saw that. And but you really should have noticed that you had these lows across there, and that's a little one tick. So you got support for that. You got support for the trend line. You got a green bar going in your direction there. So every reason you'd want to go long right there off the trend line with that bullish bar. That's a trend bar in your direction. Took it a minute. If you didn't like that one, really the better trade, I meant to make this circle a little bigger. A more aggressive trader would have entered here. If you didn't enter there, you definitely wanted to enter here after it ticked lower and then turned up. That's a second entry right there, and you got a little trap. And look at that move. They had everybody trapped. All these shorts had to exit, and off it went. And then it kind of got into another little choppy. Excuse me, I got a little tickle in my throat today, so I'm struggling not to have to cough here every once in a while, so you just have to pardon me there. But again, notice this. This was the resistance. We broke above it. We tested it once. Pull back. We tested it twice. Normally you'd want to enter right there, but you don't want to enter that close to the trend channel. And notice how it's fighting against it all the way. So then it pulls back, and then it tests it twice right here. And look at that reversal bar. So you could have gone long right there. But when it turned down again, it's kind of like this trap right here. It turns down again and then turns back up. So then you got a second entry with a higher low, and that was really the better place to enter right there. I left both of these in green because we didn't quite get back to the trend line, and the best entries are going to be there. But sometimes when the market's strong, you can't get below the EMA. It's really, notice we haven't really gotten more than a few ticks below. We got a little further there, but we barely got a few ticks here, a few ticks there, and we just couldn't get below the EMA. It just, the market's too strong today. So on days like that, you got to take a little trap like that. And look, it took it a minute to go, and it worked. And what did it do? It got outside the channel, and it failed and got back in again. And then there's two chances to enter right here. You got your lows right here. That's a pullback to test this breakout area. You can see that. Notice, that's why I say draw these lines, because this is much clearer now. And you see it tested it once, tested it twice, and it tested this was the low really. Then it tested it once, then twice. So what does that mean? You're going to go higher more than likely. And look at that reversal bar. So you could have gone long right there. But again, if you didn't, there's that little trap. I mean, it's the third time you see that today. Take that trap and take off. And then guess what? It came back and tested it again. So there's another bounce off the trend line, and you take it again, and look at those moves. People started thinking this was the top now, and they're trying to catch a top. On days like this, you know, don't counter trend trade. You know, these are all good trades, but look what would happen if you tried it right here, or if you tried it right here on the second entry. Look what would happen to you if you tried it here. You need to be buying today. Don't be thinking about selling. Sure, you know, you can get some scalps here, but too many of them fail. I'll be honest, I scalped short a couple of these, but I'm not even going to talk about it or show you where, because I don't want you to try to do it and mess yourself up, because that's what you will do. And you know, you on a day like today, you want to be buying and trying to hold on as long as you can. And you don't want to be buying these highs. You want to be buying all the pullbacks to the EMA or the trend line, and when you get the EMA and the trend line like here, they're really good setups. So that's the key. And I actually had one trader, it was probably right in here somewhere today, send me an email and say, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. What should I be doing? You got to draw these lines, folks. You got to draw these lines, because you can see how much easier it gets when you draw the lines. You get a better feel for what's going on, and it's hard to see it without the lines on there. And basically all I told this trader was just, you know, hey, you got to be buying today. And so what does he do? He buys the next pullback, and he doesn't even have his lines right. But guess what? Because he's buying on a trend day that's trending up, he made a lot of money. You had a good trading day. And so the odds are automatically with you. Even if you bought up here, what's the worst that would have happened to you? Let's just assume the worst and say you bought right up in here at, say, 15, 12.50. Well, it only went to 15.10. So the most that would have happened was you had a 2.5 point drawdown temporarily, and then it took off in your favor, and you made 15, 12. So you had a chance to make 4 points right there. And you know, and that's buying in the exact wrong place at the exact wrong time. If you manage to get it right and you're buying off the trend line, you know, you could have bought down here and still be riding it up here, and never in the trade, never taking one tick heat against you. Every one of these trades just about wouldn't have ever taken more than a tick or two against you, if even that. And then you were in the money from then on. And that, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. So learn to spot the trend, learn to spot. And what I'll tell you too is when you start to see a lot of little bitty bars like this that are just chopping, but they're steadily going higher and higher and higher and higher, it doesn't look like it, but it's an extremely strong trend. And it fools everybody. And you'll see that a lot. And, you know, like this trend, your bars are bigger. And, you know, look coming down how big your bars are. Now here's a good downtrend. See how small and tight and choppy those bars are? That's a strong, strong downtrend. It doesn't look like it until you back out, and then you see it from a distance, and look at that. You can see how bearish that is. So sometimes it might help just to back out and look, and then there it is today. Look at that, how straight up from the left side of your chart to the right the whole way, really basically since 4 o'clock this morning my time, which is Central Standard Time. So this is as good as it gets, folks. You got to learn to spot this and take it. And if you didn't make money today, you got some work to do. But again, somebody asked me again today about talking about the actual signal bar. And what you're looking for on a signal bar is you're looking for, first of all, you're waiting on the spots. You know, once you had these two swings right here, if you didn't have anything else, you should have had this trend. You draw it right there, and every time it comes back to it today, you're looking for it. But again, the way I found it was off of these top ones first, and I drug it down. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking for entries, maybe along the EMA if it sets up right, but when it comes back to this trend channel line or this trend line, that's where you're going to be looking for your best entry points. That's where the best ones are going to happen. And so every time it comes back to that trend line, you're looking for a setup bar. And a setup bar is generally, it's either going to be a second entry, and preferably a second entry with a little bitty doji like this or a nice trend bar. You don't want to go, you don't want to be going long above if this was a bar right here, you don't want to go long right there. You want to go long above a bar that looks, it's a trend bar in your direction, or a reversal bar like that right there. There's a nice reversal bar. It went higher, turned down immediately, and closed on its very low. That's as pretty a setup bar as you get. And if you'd have dropped your limit order back in there, you wouldn't have got filled on this one. So you got to weigh your options of whether you want to do that. Look, here's a reversal bar. It opened in here, went lower, and then before it closed, it turned and closed almost within a tick of being on its high. That's a good setup bar. If you were trading last night, you could have gone long right there. Look how easy that scalp was. Here's one that might have failed. Let's look at that one, but that's a great failed breakout. Your entry would have been 92.75, and it went to, guess what, it got just enough, 5 ticks, so that you would have profited. Those trades, when you get the right setup with the right bar, even if they only get 5 ticks, they rarely fail. That's just all there is to it. They're high probability setups that don't fail very often, and you got to keep that in mind. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a trend bar in your direction. So it would have been more dangerous to go long above that one, so you would have been better off to wait right here. That's still not a great trend bar because it closed a couple of ticks off, but if it breaks above that high after that, that's like a little pullback, and then it goes higher. So, and notice from there, it took a little while, but it worked on out and went higher. There's a nice reversal bar right there. Or trend bar right off the trend line. You go long right there, and it never looked back. There's a little doji again. That's a trap. Notice that trend bar right there. It came back some, but your stop's going to be below your signal bar, so your stop was never threatened really. It gets scary when it starts coming back like this, but you just got to trust the patterns and the setups and go with it. Now this one didn't quite close on its high either, but there's the trap right there. So you could have gone long right there. This was the first entry, and this was the little trap that we saw over and over. And if you see a pattern happen once during the day, if it repeats itself, it's probably going to work exactly the same later in the day. And you'll see that over and over and over, repeat pattern. So when you see something that works during the day, and it doesn't have to look exactly the same, but the same thing is happening. You're coming off a new low right here, and it comes back and tries to test it and then reverses at a higher point. It did it right here, I believe. It did it a couple of places. It did it right here, then it did it right here, and it did it right here. And then it did it again right there, and notice how it would have worked. So watch for those patterns. Excuse me. And do not, if you notice them, you got to pay attention to them if they happen again. So when you see what happens, we're finding resistance off the upper side of all these two lines are support and resistance that are angled instead of flat like these two. And this is a good example of how we started out ranging and then started trending. I talked about that yesterday. I believe it was yesterday or one day we were trending, and then we started ranging. And then we started trending again. Well, today we started out ranging, and then we started trending. So you got to be able to spot what's going on and not get locked in thinking, I think that's what the trader that emailed me did. We started out in a range, and so he's thinking we're in a range. And because we had a range yesterday, he's looking for a range all day long. And instead of buying the lows, he's selling, he's selling and getting caught on the wrong direction or whatever. Or else he's just sitting there petrified to do anything when you got to be recognizing the trend and buying. And this thing, look at it, just keeps going higher, consistently going higher and higher and higher. And we still got an hour and 15 minutes or so left in today, and we're still going higher. So, but anyway, hope all that makes sense to you. I hope you had a great trading day. I hope you recognize this trend. I hope you can find these channels. Again, a lot of times the best way to find them is usually off the lows, and then you carry it up. But a lot of times you can't find it that way, and you just draw it across the highs and drag it down, and it just falls right in place. So I've learned to spot them both ways. And I'll be honest with you, lately I'm getting them off the other side more in this case, when I say the other side, the trend's up. So I'm finding the trend line, off the trend channel line by finding it off the high side first. And if we were trending down, you know, I may have found it off the low side first and then drug it up. Hopefully that makes sense. It's not too complicated. Sometimes this stuff is real simple to me because I see it and do it every day, and then I try to explain it, and it's not quite as clear to newer traders. So if I do that, and you're unsure, drop me an email or whatever, or comment, and I'll try to answer it for you. So, and that reminds me of one other thing, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. A lot of you do comment on the videos, actually at YouTube. I only go and answer those about once a week, so you won't get as quick an answer there probably, and sometimes I miss those for whatever reason. But if you send an email, go to the website, and you can contact me through the website if you don't have my email. And I don't want to just give out my email randomly. I want to make you work for it so that I don't get thousands of emails from people sending me spam and everything else. So my email's there. If you go to the website, you can contact me through the website, and I will respond. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to give it out over the video because I don't want a ton of spam showing up in my mailbox. But I will answer on eBay. I'm sorry, not eBay, YouTube, if you post a question there, but it may not get answered as quickly as if you emailed it to me. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next